Hi, I'm Kara Moore with AHA TV. Today we're hearing more from the editor-in-chief of Circulation Research, Dr. Jane Freedman, on ensuring methodological rigor, reproducibility, and transparency in research.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Jane Freedman. I am the editor-in-chief of Circulation Research and the chief of cardiology at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to describe some important initiatives at Circ Research and broadly across the AHA journals specifically aimed at enhancing rigor and reproducibility. The American Heart Association and ASA journals are committed to publishing high-quality research and upholding accepted standards of methodological rigor, reproducibility, and transparency. We want that our published methods should be detailed enough to enable readers to reproduce the experiments, and our authors are encouraged to use public repositories for protocols, data, code, and other materials. An important component of all of this are both the technical and statistical review. The technical and statistical reviewers review each original article at its revision stage. Our technical editors check for guideline adherence, data availability, as well as figure quality and other technical concerns. Our statistical editors check for sound statistical methods, reporting recommendations, and analysis of data, making sure that it's correct and appropriate for the type of research that's presented. I have to note, particularly for authors submitting to Circulation Research, it's a different technical and statistical editor check when you're submitting a basic versus a clinical article. To assist the authors, the American Heart Association has introduced recommendations. Specifically, there are statistical reporting recommendations. They were published in May of 2021 for the journal portfolio, and they guide for high-quality reporting of statistical analysis, methods, and results. They're a resource for study design. And in addition, at Circulation Research, we've published additional guidelines that are partially specific to our different types of authors and basic scientific articles. Additionally, there's guidelines for figures and unedited gels if your papers have that sort of information. It's important to have good figure presentation and data visualization, and guidelines are provided. We don't want to see splicing, and images need to be put in context. At the revision stage, authors are asked to provide unedited gels for all representative figures. We don't want cropped gels at that stage. This helps lessen inadvertent errors, transpositions of gels, and mixing up of specific figures. The journal also has the ability to utilize the SciScore report. This is an automated methods review tool which screens for adherence to experimental rigor and reporting requirements. Using the report will highlight missing items or potential problems such as misidentified data, contaminated cell lines, or improperly registered clinical trials. Currently, at Circulation Research, it's optional for the authors at revision. We also have the authors use our major resources table template that Circulation Research and ATVB are provided for the authors to fill in. It allows a list of all research materials, including animals, cell lines, antibodies, code, software, etc. It encourages the use of public repositories and persistent IDs, and it allows for easier validation and replication of experiments. Relevant to the entire AHA portfolio is our adherence to the Transparency and Openness Promotion Guidelines, or TOP guidelines. It makes sure that data, material, and code, if available, are listed, and if so, where. It encourages data, analytic methods, research material, transparency, asks for pre-registration and replication. It also sets the standards for data availability and citation. And as mentioned, the guidelines apply to all AHA/ASA journals. So the question is, do all of these initiatives work? Well, we just recently published in Circulation Research a research letter that looked at methodological rigor in preclinical cardiovascular research. And essentially, it found an overall improvement in the reported use of randomization, blindness, sample size, and inclusion of both sexes over the last 5 years for several of the AHA journals where these different types of set points and guidelines have been put in place. Clearly, further progress is needed, but these data do demonstrate that these checkpoints and considerations do work in improving the quality of our scientific data. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Freedman. Find out more about circulation research and the other AHA journals by logging on to ahajournals.org. We'll see you again soon.